Also, I talk to companies that want to hire foreigners. So today, I'd like to talk to you international students at Tokyo University of the Arts about the basics of Japanese work visas and what you need to prepare for job hunting in Japan. Let's get started. I will explain 4 important things. First, the basics of work visas required by TUA students looking to work in Japan. Second, working freelance in Japan. Third, steps to work in Japan and what you should prepare now. And finally, where to consult when you need help. So number 1, the basics of work visas required by TUA students looking to work in Japan. Okay. So how many of you here would like to work in Japan after graduation? I think there are many people who want to work in Japan because you're already in Japan and study at the Japanese university, right? But from here, I will explain the status of residence equal visa for working in Japan. Some people already have part-time jobs. Those who work part-time while studying university already need permission to engage in activity other than those permitted by the status of residence, 資格外活動, right? And you need working visa after graduation if you want to work. Engineer, specialist in humanities, international services, which is 技術人文知識国際業務, is the most common visa, which is required for post-graduation employment. There is even an artist visa for those looking to use their artistic talent in a work. So this is the list of major work visas. I will explain each visa in detail from the next slide. So as you can see on this slide, there are several types of work visas in Japan. Okay. First, let's talk about working part-time while you're a student. I think people who work part-time already know about this, but those who work part-time while studying at university need a permission to engage in an activity other than those permitted by the status of residence. Number 1 procedures. When you arrive in Japan, I think you got the permission stamp on the back of your residence card at the airport. Please know that this stamp is required when you do part-time. So just in case that you do not have a stamp and want to work part-time, please go to immigration office, okay, to get a stamp. And number 2, workplace restrictions. Students are not permitted to work in the adult entertainment industry or business designated as the amusement industry under the law. Examples: bars, cabarets, gari, bars, pachinko parlors, game centers, and clubs or live houses that perform live music. You need to be really careful in choosing your job or work environment. Thirdly, about working hour restrictions. Students can work up to 28 hours for 7 consecutive days. During summer break and other long vacations, you can work up to 40 hours in a week. Okay, so next I will explain working visa after graduating from university. About engineer, specialist in humanities, international services, ESI, what is called 技術人文知識国際業務、擬人国 非人国visa. So this kind of working visa is the most common visa that foreigners take to be able to work efficiently in Japan. This visa is intended for international students who have graduated from a university or a vocational school and seek work that requires skills or knowledge in natural sciences, such as science and engineering, humanities, such as law, economics, and sociology, or international services, such as interpretation and translation, or work that requires considerations or sensitivity based in a foreign culture. Number one, about visa requirements. The applicant has received a university degree or equivalent level of education or higher in a subject with skills or knowledge relevant to the industry in which they will work. So you must finish 4 years undergrad or 2 years master's program to meet the requirements. Exchange students do not meet these requirements, so please be careful about that. And number two, work restrictions. Examples in the science include engineers and programmers, while examples in the humanities include people working in accounting, human resources, general affairs, and legal affairs. Occupations that fall under international services include translations and interpretation. The use of knowledge and experience in the work is required, meaning the applicant cannot engage in manual work or physical labor that clearly does not require those. Okay. As written here, Japanese labor is not included in the visa requirement. But in order to be employed by companies in Japan, most companies require very good Japanese labor. Fortunately, there are very few companies that can do designing work only in English. So you will be required to communicate in Japanese with Japanese clients and colleagues. So if you want to work only in English, you have to work really hard to find it by yourself. Okay, so next, let's skip this slide. Next, I'd like to introduce SSW visa, Specified Skilled Workers, 特定技能 visa. Okay. 特定技能 visa is to people who do not speak Japanese very well. I think this is one option, I guess, to work. Not speak, but who have a really strong desire to work in Japan after graduation from the university. This is one option. Specified skilled worker 特定技能 visa started in 2019. The SSW visa, this program aims to bring foreigners with a certain level of expertise or skills to Japan to work in designated industries where securing human resources domestically is really difficult. So the visa is valid for up to 5 years. There are 12 specific industrial fields. Okay, in this here, nursing care, building cleaning management, machine parts and tooling, and so on. The number 12, food service is a popular area among international students. You might work as a waiter at the restaurant. If you want to get SSW visa, you have 2 exams that you need to pass. First, skill proficiency test. Okay, here. The test checks whether the applicant has the knowledge, experience, and skills necessary to perform a job immediately. some industries have both an academic and skill proficiency tests with varying difficulty levels. Then second, Japanese language test. Applicants take either JLPT or JFT. A level of N4 is generally required for the JLPT. So you will have better chances of working in Japan if you pass these exams, 2 exams, because they do not require really high level Japanese compared to ESI, Gizinkoku visa. Okay. Next, designated activities, which is 特定活動 visa. 特定活動 designated activities visa. Okay. Activities specifically designated by the Ministry of Justice for individual foreigners. Example includes working holidays, international students who have graduated from a Japanese university, and will engage in entrepreneurial activities or seek employment, etc. In fact, there are nearly 50 types of specific activities, so there are really many. Then designated activities, 特定活動, number 45, 46号. Designated activities, number 46, is a visa that permits a wide range of designated activities for international students who have graduated from a Japanese university on the condition that they pass the JLPT N1 level. Okay. Although it's not written here, there is also a job hunting visa for designated activities visa. 特定活動、就職活動ビザ job hunting visa, actually. After you graduate from the school with a student visa, you have to return to your country, right? However, those who wish to find a job in Japan after graduation, it is legally okay to continue looking for a job in Japan for 6 months with this 特定活動 job hunting visa, and with an extension a year. So if approved by the immigration office, it is possible to keep doing the job hunting after graduation with this visa. So it is necessary to submit the letter of recommendation by the university. So please consult with the career center first to get this visa. Okay. Then number 6, artist visa. Some of you may be interested in this visa, right? This visa is for those who work in music, fine arts, literature, or other artistic activities that involve income. Examples include composers, painters, and writers. Entertainment-related activities such as theater, performances, concerts, sports, or other entertainment activities are classified as entertainment visa. So this artist visa is examples for composers, lyrists, and painters, sculptors, potters, and artisans, writers, photographers, and other artists, as well as those who teach music, art, literature, photography, theater, dance, film, etc. So as you can see on the bottom with red text here, applicants are required to have considerable artistic achievement, such as being selected for exhibitions or already have stable and continuous contract with clients, and to be recognized as able to lead a stable life in Japan only through artistic activities. Artists are often unstable financially, right? And if they receive money from their parents in their home country, they cannot get artist visa. So again, I have to tell you that this visa, artist visa, is really, really difficult to get. Okay, so here is summary of main visas permitting work in Japan. There are several types of working visa in Japan. Then the number 2, engineer, specialists in humanities, international services is the most common work visa. And this status of residence is valid for 1 year, 3 years, or 5 years, and it's renewable. So during the period of stay, you can change company as long as the job meets the visa requirement. Work restrictions and requirements are really different from each other. So depending on the visa. So please check details on the immigration website yourself and check it out. Before going to the next slide, I have to tell you one more information about tax payment. Okay, please be aware that international students living in Japan are also obligated to pay national health insurance, national pension, residence tax, and income tax, just like any other Japanese residents. So if you do not pay, you may have problems changing status of residence from student visa to working visa. So please be careful about it. And if you cannot pay or have any questions, please consult your city or work office where you live. Okay. So next, number 2, working freelance in Japan. So first of all, there is no freelance visa in Japan. If you have permanent residence visa or a source visa, there are no work restrictions, and it is easier to work as a freelance based on a contract. But it is very difficult for people with a student visa to work as a freelancer in Japan. This is because one, application is really difficult because it requires more documentation than a regular work contract. Number 2, freelancers applying for a work visa must prove the ability to earn a stable income. It must show evidence of your work in Japan and whether you have entered into long-term contracts with Japanese companies that enable you to earn a stable income. If you're a student now who are not yet worked as a freelancer, you have to be well prepared to submit evidence to show that you can earn enough as a freelancer. Examples: a copy of a contract with a company or organization, or a person commission work, etc. Key points of working freelance in Japan. So is the contract long-term or automatically renewed? Do you have sufficient skills to sustain work as a freelancer? Can you make a living as a freelancer? This is example, but annual income in Japan is around 3 million yen. You have contract with multiple companies, or if you have a contract with one company, you can prove the continuity of the contract. Okay. And one more important point to work freelance. Here, bottom of this slide, freelance, solo proprietorship. Unlike salaried workers, employed by a company, freelance workers must calculate their income and expenses and file a tax return. Failure to file a tax return will result in the inability to prove income or obtain a tax certificate. This will also interfere with the visa screening process. You have to do complex tax procedure on your own or ask a tax accountant. Again, for those who work in Japan for the first time, it is very difficult to work as a freelancer. I recommend that you get a job and work for one company that will sponsor your visa first. And after that, you get used to work in Japan, then consider freelancing. Okay, so number 3, steps to work in Japan and what you should prepare next. I've introduced types of working visa software. So from here, I'd like to talk about job hunting in Japan, okay? Japanese hiring culture. Okay. So have you ever heard that job hunting system in Japan is very different from other countries? Actually, it is really unique. So you have to be really prepared for that. Regarding the preparation for getting a job in Japan, if I talk about it in detail, it will be really quite a lot of volume. So today I will only talk about one important thing, Japanese requirement culture, okay? The reason I talk about this is that there are many international students who run into obstacles and problems or miss out on job opportunities without understanding the Japanese hiring culture and rules. So I'd like to introduce the differences between job hunting in Japan and overseas. Let's look at the difference from 2 perspectives. So the first is timing of the requirement. In overseas, companies really conduct requirement activities throughout the year, right? According to the needs of the position. So you will get the job at the timing when there is a vacancy in the position. On the other hand, in Japan, hiring is done by batch. Requirement starts when potential employees are still studying school. Another point is schedule. In Europe, America, and Southeast Asia, maybe, there are many countries where students start job hunting after graduation. On the other hand, Japanese companies have a culture of batch hiring. Japanese companies recruit students who are scheduled to graduate each academic year and carry out recruitment activities while they are still in school. So many Japanese students start looking for a job during their 3rd year. And by the timing of their 4th year, many of them will have interviews already and even have found a job. For companies, batch hiring has the advantage of making personnel management easier and reducing group training and education costs. Since the recruitment timing is once a year, if you miss it, it will be difficult to find a job. I think some of you here are a little bit worried, right? But I have 2 good news. One, although batch hiring is a part of Japanese business culture, international students can still get hiring some opportunities since this process is mostly applicable to Japanese students. 2, Recently, more and more companies, especially small and medium-sized companies, are hiring year-round. There are some recruitment events only for international students. So please check the information on the internet or your career center at school. Okay. Next. Okay. Japanese hiring culture, hiring criteria. I will talk about it. In other countries, applicants are hired based on their abilities. On the other hand, in Japan, applicants are hired based on their potential to grow and communication skill. In Japan, there is a culture of hiring people with potential and communication skill rather than hiring people who already have skills, which is because they educate new employees in the company, and the teamwork is also really important on Japanese business scene. So why international students often fail to find work? As I mentioned earlier, the main reason why foreign students fail to find work is their lack of understanding on the Japanese hiring culture. It will be too late to start looking for a job after graduation. If you have high, strong desire to work in Japan, it is very important to start gathering information earlier and recommend you to start job hunting as soon as possible. Plus, Japanese language communication level is also very important. If the job does not require Japanese language, the requirement for the Japanese communication level will be lowered. But in many companies, resumes, interviews, and job itself are all done in Japanese. So I recommend you to get N2, the N2 level. N2 level is necessary for humanity jobs. Okay. So to sum up, what to prepare before working in Japan? Number one, brush up your Japanese communication skill as much as possible. Okay. Number two, understand others and yourself. So understand companies and yourself. You have to get to know yourself better and other people as well in preparation for your interview. Okay. And number three, understand Japanese visa requirements and check the requirements for your visa. And number four, please consider the possibility that your visa application will be denied if you wish to work as a freelancer and create a plan. If you really want to get a job in Japan, please start job hunting and collect information as soon as possible. Oh, sorry. Okay. Lastly, way to consult when you need help. So this is a visa consultations list when you need help. You should put a lot of effort in gathering information about job opportunities in Japan, since foreigners have limited access to information. I'm sure that living, studying, and working in foreign country is really, really difficult. So I respect you all of you here, but there are always opportunities. So please do your best to get the job. For international students operated by GTN and our partner Najik-san. On this website, you can find both part-time and full-time jobs. So please read the QR code here and register your information so that you can apply for the job that you are interested in and get the job offer by companies. And if you have any questions, please contact us, Najik and JTN. The contact number is bottom of this slide, the telephone number here, the email as well. So this is the end of the presentation. I hope all of you here have a good time during your stay in Japan, and good luck on your job hunting. Thank you for listening.